Hello everybody, this is Conquering History Games and it's an exciting day today. Today I bring Rome Total War to the channel. Very fun, very fun. We're going to go ahead and play an Imperial campaign. We're going to very hard difficulty, and if you couldn't figure it out from the thumbnail already, we are going to be playing as, or I am really, as the Egyptians. So I'd really thought about, oh wait, first let me make sure we got the no battle time limit on. Now, Rome Total War is an earlier example of the Total War franchise. I know that everybody's going wild right now about Warhammer 2, but we're going to take a trip back in time to Rome Total War, the first one, the one that originally brought the 3D campaign map to the series. Definitely one of my favorite games of all time. And I actually decided not to begin the introduction of this series to the channel by playing any of these Roman factions. I am instead going to be playing the incredibly historically accurate Egyptians. I am kidding, of course. There are so many inaccuracies, but it's all in good fun, and I aesthetically like their units. I think like visually their units look very cool, and I'm going to talk about a lot about the history of the Egyptians in this time period as we go through the campaign, particularly in the early part. So let's see. I am not going to read all of this for you guys. I guess I'll do that, and if you want, you could pause it and read it on your own. But let's go in, read the intro, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of the Egyptians and where they were in the year 270. Also, I'm going to make this tentatively a short campaign. If I'm getting feedback, if you're telling me that you guys like it, by the time I complete the short campaign goals, then we can turn this into a long campaign very easily. It would take 2 seconds. But I hope you guys do like it. I know I'm going to like it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be different. And I hope you enjoy. Let's watch this intro video.
I have been in the service of Pharaoh for many years. It is my task to write down all that is decided. My father did this before me, and his father before him. We have faithfully recorded and seen much. Pharaoh is our lord and master. He is Horus reborn, and will be Osiris in the afterlife. All of Egypt lives and dies by his divine wish. And this is as it should be. We are his children. Pharaoh loves us all. We would conquer the world so that all can know his wise rule. Even if Pharaoh did not ask this, we would do it. His enemies will be struck down. Night and darkness will take them. The sands will be stained red. All this will come to pass, for Pharaoh has decreed it. So it is written. So shall it be.
Okay, that was a nice little preview of some of the units we're going to be playing with in this campaign. Really looking forward to getting some of those pharaonic spearmen. So here we are. It's the year 270 BC, and we are Egypt underneath the rule of Ptolemy II Philadelphus. Let's just fire. Wait a minute. Who the hell is Hekhemut? Yeah, unfortunately, they do not get the names of any of these leaders correct when it comes to Egypt. Just one of many historical inaccuracies that are going on, but it's going to be a fun campaign anyway. So let's just talk about what in reality was going on in Egypt in this time. So it's the year we're going to go back a little bit further in time to the year 323 BC. Alexander the Great. He has come from Macedon. He has put down the Greek city-states. He's made a way across Anatolia into what is now the Holy Land, into Egypt, taken that over, gone east, taken over the Persian Empire, and even gone as far as the borders of India. But then he dies. Maybe it was an assassination. Probably it's just because he was drunk and, he had a really bad night. Afterwards, all of his empire is divided, although not immediately, but it does eventually happen. So, over here in Egypt, you had a man named Ptolemy, who would eventually declare himself Ptolemy the First in 305 BC, so that would be about 35 years before the start of this game. Was it 305? I think it was 305. And he becomes Ptolemy the First Soter, aka Savior of Egypt, had several wives and ruled for a decent amount of time, about 21 years, sure longer than some of the other successor kingdoms, which would be the name of the kingdoms that made up the remnants of Alexander's empire. So 21 years, he had a pretty good run. By the time we're in 270 BC, historically, his son, Ptolemy II, there were several Ptolemies, by the way, who were the pharaohs of Egypt. There was Ptolemy the First, Second, Third, Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, Seventh, Eighth. I think you get the picture, although after the Eighth, there was a Cleopatra for a little bit, kind of, sort of, but maybe we can talk about that later. I'm going to be talking about this history for a little bit here, but it's going to be a very, very long series, so I'm sure that you guys don't mind me just doing this here at the start. You can always skip ahead later. So, his son, Ptolemy II, Philadelphus roughly translates to beloved of his siblings. So, Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Philadelphia, Philadelphus, you guys see where it's going there? Alright, so that is who is actually in control here. Now, the way that the Macedonian military was actually composed at this point in time, it was made up mostly of Greek immigrants, ones who had been encouraged to immigrate from up here down to Egypt by giving them land grants, and in return they would just have to perform some military service. Now, the Egyptians did use natives. They didn't have a problem with doing that, although it was a little bit tricky because there would be native revolts. I'm sorry, did I say the Egyptians? I mean the Ptolemaians, because when we were talking about this period of Egyptian history, we were talking about the Ptolemaic Dynasty, spelled Ptolemaic, Ptolemaic Dynasty, sometimes called the Lagids Dynasty, or Lagids. And let me start building some things here and there while I talk. We got a spy up here. Let's have him go up here and take a look at the Seleucid Empire, another one of the successor kingdoms, who's up here in this area, as well as to the east and the west. So that's going to be our primary rival. And that was something that had been going on for a while by the time we get to this point, 270, and it was something that would continue on. The Egyptians and the Seleucids would be fighting frequently. But moving back to the concept of the military, so because they were using these Greek settlers in the Egyptian military, it was very much based in Greek tactics, so they did use the phalanx. So now right here you've got some Numidian spearmen, not exactly accurate. Yes, they're using the phalanx, but Numidian spearmen, not 100% true. I mean, they would use mercenaries, but they mostly from Ethiopia, if anything, so a little bit further south of Nubia. Still, it's going to be a lot of fun here. We got some really cool units. Of course, we're going to be using chariots. We're going to be getting access to, oops, wait, wrong. There we go. And if we take a look at the building browser here, as we can see way down the line, we are going to get some really cool looking units. The Pharaoh's bowmen, not bodyguards. The Nile cavalry here, the desert cavalry. Can't wait until we can crank some of these out. Also can get access to some camel archers. Not a super expensive unit, costs a little bit more than most, but they scare horses, and horse archers can be good. We probably won't be using those too much, at least not in the way that I plan to run this campaign. So I think I've talked about Egyptian history long enough. I just do want to say, though, that this Egypt that we are playing, this dynasty, is the dynasty that would eventually bring out the famous Cleopatra, the Cleopatra that slept with Caesar, and, Mark Antony, and, let's see, I believe she was Cleopatra. Yeah, so that was Cleopatra the 7th, Philoraptor. She's the one who ruled from 51 to 30 BC. So we got a couple hundred years before we get to Cleopatra. And then she killed herself. It's a whole other story, which I might get to later on at some point. But I think we can go ahead and get started here. So let's talk about what my actual plan is. So those of you who are familiar with Total War, or at least with Rome Total War, you're probably wondering what is my initial plan here. So I want to get very aggressive very quick. And also let me talk about why I'm deciding to play as the Egyptians. For one, I really like their unit roster. It just looks great to me. It's very aesthetically pleasing to me. Okay, we got Demetrius up here. We got a level 3 star general here. Okay, so the whole idea here is that we are going to be fighting the Seleucids, we're going to be fighting other people, and we are completely ignorant that way over here on this Italian peninsula, there's a little town called Rome, which made a republic and is getting really uppity and is starting to spread out. We don't have any idea about what is going on there. And we're not going to deal with them. I'm not going to be going and getting a bunch of people on boats and we're going to be doing some preemptive strikes on Rome or anything gamey like that. No, no, not at all, not at all. We are going to be focusing on fighting the Seleucids first and foremost. And I think it's going to be interesting in that manner because then that means by the time that we start to get into contact with the Romans, they probably will not have done the Marian reforms, but they will have expanded. They're going to have a good industrial base. Their military is going to have gotten quite large, and it's going to provide a serious challenge for us if I choose to make this a long campaign. Or I should say, if you all decide it should be a long campaign because you end up liking it. So let's talk about my plan here. First thing I'm doing is I want to get a bunch of my units on the boats, although I'm building one more because I really hate naval warfare in this particular game. So I'm going to increase my navy size by 50%, and then we're going to take these guys and we are going to come over here to Rhodes. It's going to take the Colossus of Rhodes because he is a wonder, which increases my naval trade by 40%. I want to be making some money. I don't want to be thinking about money when I'm making my big, awesome armies. I'm also not going to build any ports here in Memphis or Thebes because they just go into the Red Sea and I simply don't think it's worth it. Maybe the mines, kind of tempting, but probably not. So let's think about how we're going to attack the Seleucids. Or actually, first, let's find my diplomat. Or actually, there's a few things I want to do. The Numidians are also to my west. Now, they have a split empire, so what I want to do is I want to start heading that way, and I am going to take them out ASAP. Let's see, maybe I should take this peasant unit too. Maybe not. Okay, so Egypt is going to be my center of military, and I have three options here. I could set myself up that I could be building some Nile spearmen, which are some decent enough spearmen. I could make some desert cav. I could also make some bowmen. I'm kind of deciding which one it's going to be, but I also want to have a forward operating post on here, up here on the frontier. So what I think I'm going to do is I first want to build a shrine because Sidon is not super happy with me right now. They could certainly be doing better, and I think we're going to go with a shrine to Set, patron god of Lower Egypt. Yes, that is what we're going to do because he's going to give me additional law and it's going to make people just generally happier. Down here in Jerusalem, there's already a temple to Horus, so let's go ahead and build a port because, as I said before, naval trade is going to become a very important part of how this campaign plays out. And let's start putting everybody together here. Okay, see, I've already pissed off the natives. So we need to make them happier. Let's lower these tax rates down here. And Salamis, I have no plans for Salamis right now. I guess I might, no, 2,000. Mines are kind of good in the long term, but I don't think it's the best thing for me right now. As for what will be going into Alexandria as far as temples go, let's figure this out. Horus eventually leads me to getting some light weapon upgrades. I can get population growth with Set. Imhotep is good for my health and gives an experience bonus to my troops here. I've got 5 temples to choose from as Egypt, which is kind of cool. And I would like to have some big different. I'd eventually have at least a shrine to every god. It's within my empire. Osiris is good for happiness. This is good for population growth, but I think we are going to go with Imhotep at first. Temples, these little shrines, really great one-turn small investments that will lead to me getting a good return. Now, over here in Sidon, after I'm done with this shrine, I need to decide if I want to build stables so I can create desert cavalry or if I want blacksmiths to create Egyptian chariots, because I can make chariots and they are very fun to play with. Although, interestingly enough, if you actually do some testing and look at the stats, Egyptian chariots are not the best chariots in the game. They actually belong to the Britons way up here. Now, I don't imagine any situation where we would end up in a heads-up fight, but that could be interesting if it were to happen. Alright, what else could we do for now? Let's jump up this tax rate here. and start to build just a couple of units. Alright, we'll fuse those two. I could get some mercenaries. I'd rather get those so the Numidians can't. So we're already really low on money here. And we're going to load up with Admiral Wa. Let's actually take a look at who my factionaries are. So my factionary has a magician. He's got 3 command. He's a strategic expert. Honors the gods. Not too shabby. Meanwhile, over here, we've got my faction leader. He's 55, so he's kind of getting up there in years. He's got a librarian. Ooh, he is a Master Embalmer, which gives me an additional command when I'm attacking, as well as +1 morale for all the troops on my battlefield, and I'm sorry about that. That would be a motorcycle going through my street. Command talent, he's religious, he's a mathematics expert, so 10% bonus on all trade income. Wow, that is pretty damn awesome that he's there. So it is going to be all about the money, and then the next turn we're gonna hop him on board, and we're gonna start getting the hell out of here towards Rhodes. Try to sneak that away from the Greeks while they aren't looking. Okay, let's get Captain Afries here to meet with Kia. Send you down there, and I forgot, where is my diplomat? Now I do start with the pyramids here, which increases the loyalty of Egyptians to the owning faction regardless of culture, so you know that's good. Here's my diplomat, so I'm going to try to get my diplomat to talk to the Numidians, maybe get them to give me a little bit of money for map information or something like that, sneak away with it from them before I attack them. But once I take that one settlement that they have, it creates a good buffer zone for me, and the Numidians are really not in a position to ever strike back at me for a very, very long time. Okay, the Seleucids are about to try to talk to me, so I think I might just wait a single turn before I actually attack them. But I would like to take Damascus before it gets too big. Meanwhile, actually, let's take this spy, and let's start having him head up here, take a look at Antioch and what's going on. Alright, they do have a Seleucid army, but it is heading to the east, so again, might be good to wait another turn, let him go further to the east, and then I could take Damascus and hopefully Antioch very quickly. I also have some units up here on Salamis. Honestly, a little tempted to just disband those. Okay, but I think we're ready to go. Let's grab this guy, come aboard, and we're going to Rhodes. So Greece is a difficult faction because it gets just slammed from all sides by various enemies. So they're going to have a hard time of it out there. What are we going to do here? What are we going to do? It's only a large town, so I might do the militia barracks here so I can get the Nile spearmen, and up here is where I am going to build the stables. Okay, and I'm already running really short on money, so maybe I need to rethink about what goes where. Alexandria has a nice port, so instead let's build a market there, and I want to increase the taxes because I don't want to be growing too much too fast at this moment. Okay. That's fine. Wait, can we go up a little more? Yeah. Okay, so that's fine for now. And we're just gonna try to get these little buffer zones here. Alright, I will wait one turn, exactly one turn for this diplomat to come and talk to me. I don't have one over here. Let's see what's gonna happen. Okay, good. So they want they're demanding, or I'm demanding, trade rights. So map information is kind of good, but I also would like some money. So can you give me 2,000 florins, or denarii in this case? Sorry, I'm in medieval. Let's say they're going to give me 730 denarii, and I can get some map information from them. So there we go. We see how big now the Seleucid Empire actually is. What do we got here? Suitable husband. He has nothing. He's nothing. He's untouched by fear, untouched by anything. Absolutely not. You are not worthy to become one of my Pharaoh's sons. Okay, we got a new family member, and somebody has come of age. Amos. He's a tax assessor, he's sharp, and he has an understanding of strategy. Oh, perfect. Perfect for my capital of Alexandria. I'm trying to remember if it's at all possible for me to change the names of these people. I don't think it is, so unfortunately I don't think we're going to be getting too many Ptolemies or Cleopatras. Okay, see, all right, so this is great. Carthage and the Greek cities have already gone to war with one another, so that would be out here in Sicily. See, this is the problem with the Greek city-states, is they're way too spread out. They've got Syracuse over here, and then they got Sparta, and they don't have Corinth. But I mean, basically, they have a lot of cities, but they don't count for much because they have Syracuse here, Greece. They got Sparta, Rhodes. What do you call this one? Pergamum. They're very spread out and vulnerable to being picked off one by one. So the Seleucids and the Greeks might get into a fight here. Unlikely, because I'll probably be keeping the Seleucids' attention, but it's possible. I'm about to snatch away Rhodes. They're going to be attacked here. The Macedonians will probably attack them here, and hopefully they're just not in a position to effectively counterattack me. Not so much in the sense of actually sending a ship over here. I would be quite surprised if they were able to pull something like that off, but I mean in the sense of taking Rhodes back. So as you see, the Seleucids are very big, but we're right here in the middle of their armies. Now what I want to do is, let's get my spy. Where is he? Up here. And we're going to bring you back into this town with only 2 militia hoplites, Pelstats, and Demetrius. And we are going to hope that I could just walk right in. Can I actually get some mercenaries? Bedouin warriors. Good stamina's nice. Eastern mercenaries, not good for too much. Very poor morale. It even says it right there. They'll probably rout almost immediately. Again, the Nubians have poor morale as well. These could be good meat shields, but I could just go over here and build some Nubian spearmen for 230, so I don't think it's actually worth it. We're going to go ahead and pass it by on that one. Alright, the port is up and running. So now, we need roads. Fast transportation is going to be key here. You might notice that my army is I'm actually kind of slightly separated. There's a slight connection here, but I don't own the Sinai area here. I am eventually going to send some armies over here to start picking off all the rebel settlements that exist out here in the world. But for right now, we're focusing on Siwa, we're focusing on Damascus, and we are focusing on Rhodes. Rhodes, the island, not building roads. Although it's important to build roads too. And up here, I think, yeah, desert cavalry is going to be the way to go. It's cheap, it's effective, I love them, they wield axes. Alright, so let's see, we're going to attack, and yes! My spy is going to allow me right in, so this is going to be my first battle with Ptahotep? I feel like it'd be Ptahotep, or Ptahotep. I'm calling him Hotep for short, who is my, let's see, he's a family member, he's confident religious, but financially irregular, so we don't want to be keeping this guy in the city, against Demetrius, a member of the Seleucid family, who's intelligent, lively, and also a useless assessor. So we do not exactly have a couple of, geniuses here, but they are generals, and we're going to see how this plays out. And I actually think this episode's gone on long enough. So one of the goals for this series, just like with my Medieval 2 series, is that I'm going to try to always open every episode with a battle. Obviously, it didn't count for this first one. But I will see you in the next one. I'm Conquering History Games. Subscribe if you haven't already, and click the little bell so you're always notified whenever a new video goes up. And I'll see you in the next one.